It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Happy Saturday, everyone. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Happy to be with you. I'm Jeff Parles. Vinny Magliulo alongside the Hall of Famer.
Morning, buddy.
Good morning. And Alex White.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you again.
Week
Alex,
6.
of course, with us on Saturday and Sunday.
Thank God you're here, Alex. We've been out of control for the last few days.
We have?
We have.
But you've had fun, right?
We did. Well, it's part of being out of control. So.
Fun show yesterday. If you missed any of it, go to our YouTube page right now. You can follow the show, of course, at SOPO Studio LV on Twitter or X or whatever Elon is calling it these days. Of course, you get me at Jeff Parles. You get Vinny at Vinny by the Book. Sound familiar a little bit?
Listen, it's easier for me to remember. I just put everything by the book.
And then Alex White, a second E at the end on Twitter if you want to follow Alex as well. All right. I heard there's some college football games today.
Couple,
guys.
yes.
A few. Heard there's a few games.
And I heard there's some interest in a couple.
A few. Just a few. Yes. Absolutely. Vinny, we're going to go rotation, number, order as always here today. So if these games are out of order on your watch, I apologize. That's just not how we do it here. We do it with the rotation
numbers.
Rotation numbers.
The numbers to the left.
Because Jimmy would not have the Bob Shepard job if it wasn't for rotation numbers.
Bet number, right?
Bet type.
Bet amount. That's right. So tune your ears right now. You'll hear them pretty soon.
Vinny and Alex, let's start in Lawrence, Kansas then, because that's the first one on the numbers here. Actually, before we do that, Vinny, underdogs outright both last night. Oklahoma State outright is a big underdog at home. Nebraska and Illinois, just a dreadful football game, but Nebraska won outright as an underdog in Champaign last night.
Well, I think it was probably Nebraska's best game overall, right? When you think about it, I mean, they've played good defense during the course of the year, and they played good defense again last night, but they were efficient offensively too. They didn't help the other team by with turnovers. And then as far as Oklahoma State, Alex and I were talking off air, especially in college, nationally televised games really home teams get up for those games. They're on national TV. And they know they're a substantial double-digit underdog. I think it provided an incentive last night for the Cowboys in Stillwater. So 29-21, they win the game outright. Alex, we were talking about that, so tuck that away when
That's right.
down the road.
I had the Cowboys. I did not touch the money line, unfortunately, but I had them plus the points. Both unders cashed as well.
Well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Very disappointing for K-State. Will Howard did not play well at all. And for Kansas State, I thought they had a really reasonable path to make it back to Arlington.
Yeah.
That path is pretty much needing a win in Austin now later in the season, which
and some other help.
Yeah, well, they could win out and they would get there because I don't think Oklahoma is going undefeated the rest of the way. But we'll see. But definitely a bad loss for Kansas State and Illinois. I don't know they're just not good. I was wrong on them. I thought they were going to be a legitimate threat to make it to Indianapolis out of the Big Ten West. No, they're more likely to go under 500 at this point than even sniff Indianapolis at this rate.
There'll be no sniffing.
Yeah, very much so. All right, let's go to Lawrence, though. Kansas, Central Florida, 319-320 on your betting card. All right, Vinny, favorite flip in this game, but that is because of the quarterback situation at both schools for this game. Plumlee, we haven't seen in a few weeks.
Right.
John Rice Plumlee, the Ole Miss transfer. We will see him today, upgraded, will play against Kansas for Central Florida. Kansas will be without Jalen Daniels yet again, unless if something changes in the next few hours. Expected to be out for the second consecutive week after re-aggravating his back injury and warm-ups in Austin a week ago. So, Vinny, from 3.5 on KU to 2 on Central Florida here.
Yeah, looks like Bean goes today for Kansas, and we did see it, and I think really the bettors that backed Central Florida here we're anticipating that Plumlee would play, right? Obviously, I mean, it was out to questionable yesterday when we were on with Chris Andrews and Jimmy Vaccaro, and now we find out that he is going to go today. So got as high as 2.5 with Central Florida and now sitting at 265. This total has not moved really that much. It went down a little bit earlier in the week to 64. But Alex, this one here is home team is we're going to need a home team here.
Are you? You had the most money on Central Florida?
Yeah, all week long, Central Florida. The only time we got money on Kansas was at 2.5. So I suspect it may happen again. This is a 1:00 game, so there'll be some more line movement here, I think.
Crazy looking at this game early in the week. 4 possible combinations of starting quarterback. So I didn't have a feel for it. I liked Kansas, hoping we'd see Daniels. I mean, that was shocking last week with him not playing. It was such late news. But I can understand the line move going with Plumlee here with UCF. No play for me on this game.
So this is one of those. I did not expect Plumlee to play earlier in the week.
Yeah, he was listed as out. Really,
yeah, he was
right?
listed as doubtful. It was out, then doubtful, then questionable, then in. So it did the whole progression through the week. Hey, look, there is a difference between Daniels and Bean. We saw it a year ago. Kansas with Daniels, one of the better offenses in the Big 12. They dipped down to about league average when Bean played. Last week, same sort of deal. If you take out that long touchdown pass, Bean was under 100 yards passing. So, and look, it's Texas.
Right.
Can't hold it that much against them. It's the best team in the conference, best defense in the conference. It's a different class of opponent today, though. I am even with Plumlee in, I'm a little bit surprised that the bettors have been this aggressive on the Knights in this game. I don't think the Central Florida team's that good. And more importantly, Vinny and Alex, for both of you here, when you blow a game like they did last week, they're up 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and lose 36-35. Yep. Teams normally don't handle the next week particularly great.
I think that's a key point, and that was a big win for the bettors last week with Baylor, not just with the points, but on the money line as well. So credit the bettors for sticking with Baylor there, and they got the cash there. I think we have to really see how both teams respond today, right? To games last week and defeats last week. So probably a slight edge here, maybe to the home. And I think if you like Kansas here, right, with 2, you probably think they're going to win the game, right? So why would you lay a dime and take 2 points? Maybe grab a little bit of money line.
Yeah, I took the dime. I took the dime on the plus 110.
Okay.
So
well, there you go.
If Central Florida beats me, okay.
So be it.
So be it. Exactly. This Kansas team, if they win this game, again, they are 5-1. They'd be 1 win away from being bowl eligible for the second straight year after being in the depths of despair for a decade. Pretty incredible turnaround from Leipold there in Lawrence. All right, I want to touch on this one quickly because it is, Vinny, a Power 5 versus a non-Power 5, and it's short of a touchdown in Raleigh. NC State hosting Marshall. Quarterback change for NC State. 6.5 now on this one. Toggler. This is a toggler, old-fashioned toggler in this one. Right. 7, 6.5, 7, 6.5 on this one.
All right, laying the 6.5 with NC State, taking the 7 with Marshall. So back and forth we go. Obviously, from our side of the counter, do not want NC State by 7. Simple as that. A little bit of a move to the under. Actually, went down a couple of points off the 45.5 opener, but now creeping back up. So 44.5.
Marshall 4-0 coming into this game, and they also won 5 straight to end their season last year. So I was leaning a little bit to NC State, but decided to stay away from this one. There's a lot of games on the board.
There you go.
MJ Morris making the start today instead of Brennan Armstrong, the Virginia transfer, ineffective so far in his tenure in Raleigh. So Morris gets to go for NC State. This was a lean to the Wolfpack. I do think the quarterback change will help. Not strong enough, though, to get there on a bet. This is a good non-Power 5 team in the Thunder and Herd this year. So we'll steer clear of that one. All right, let's go to Gainesville next. 3:23, 3:24, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Florida, Vandy, revenge game for Florida for what happened to them last year in Nashville. 51's the total, Vinny. 18, Florida laying. It has not moved the whole week.
Solid number, two-way action, but not really a whole lot of action either. You mentioned it. Florida coming off the loss against Kentucky.
Yes.
And we'll get to Kentucky in a little bit. But Vandy, difficult year, right? I mean, it's So 18, I don't think it's really shocking that this number is this high.
Alex, you like the total in this game?
Yes, with that revenge factor, I couldn't get there laying the points with Florida, but I don't think they take their foot off the pedal. So I like the over here. Vandy really has no defense and they have no run game. They're 6-0 to the over this season. I think we see Florida put up a lot of points on them. I've got over 52.5.
Vandy this year, of course, won that opener against Hawaii, then beat FCS Alabama A&M, who's one of the worst teams in FCS. And then since then have lost their last 4 games. The Power 5 opponents, 16-point margin. Wake, not good this year by their standards. Kentucky, not known for their offense, but 45 on them 2 weeks ago. And Mizzou handled their business in Nashville with 38 on them a week ago. Oh, and UNLV put 40 on them.
UNLV.
So, even though I will say, UNLV going for win number 5 today.
That's right.
Yes, they are.
As crazy as that is, Barry Odom's done a very nice job just down the road from us here at UNLV. All right, let's go to Chapel Hill next. ACC matchup: North Carolina, Syracuse. Boy, Syracuse. We talked about it yesterday. Coming back to earth last week. We're just saying it's coming back to reality because of the schedule for the Orange, and it doesn't get much easier here on the road against UNC. Drake May and company laying 9.5. Vinny. Total is 59 in this one with the Heels hosting the Orange.
Laid 8.5, laid the 9, up to 9.5. Maybe the buyback threshold is 10, but coming back to earth means coming back to the schedule reality, right? And so, again, listen, credit Syracuse for their start. But North Carolina also in the mix in the ACC for the playoff. There's several teams in the mix. Again, let's remember this, remind folks, Alex, there's the playoff this year. First and second place team, no divisions in the ACC conference.
That's right. And I had a lean to North Carolina, but I don't want to overreact. I was on Syracuse last week. Thought they could get there. They definitely did not. So stayed away from this game. Couple ACC games I've kind of stayed away from this week.
Watch and learn.
That's right.
Over for me in this game. I don't like either of these defenses. I love Drake May. I know that's a hot take there. Kid's probably going to be the second overall pick in the NFL draft.
And Drake May likes points too.
Yeah. So Syracuse, I thought they were a product of their early season schedule. I thought that was why they got out to that hot start. Last week, the number said bet Syracuse. I stayed away because I was a little bit concerned about how they would do against a step up. Didn't go particularly well for the Orange last week. But this is a game where I expect both teams to move the ball. I'm a little surprised this isn't in the high 50s. You have 59, as low as 58.5 in the market right now. I'm a little surprised.
May go back up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked that this closes at 60. We saw 60 earlier this week.
12:30 Pacific start.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those. If you want the over, you probably want it now because I think it will bop up by kickoff. There is a 58.5 in the market if you want to do that. And as, of course, Vinny, we do advocate shopping around.
Do it. Absolutely.
Business is business.
That's it. No problem.
All right. Let's go to Georgia next. 7 o'clock East, 4 o'clock Pacific. Undefeated Bulldogs, undefeated Wildcats of Kentucky. Georgia, very fortunate a week ago in the Plains against Auburn.
They've been fortunate a few times this year.
I will say this with Georgia. And I don't think you can win a national championship with this version of Carson Beck at the moment. Now, we said that about Stetson Bennett before Georgia won their first one. They won 2 with Stetson Bennett. Mm-hmm. The talent on those teams, I think, was a lot more mature, a lot better than what this Georgia team is. But, Alex, we'll go to you first here because this is 46.5 here at the South Point, which is the market low on the total. Georgia's laying 14.5. This is one of those games where that total feels like, all right, well, if I can get 2 touchdowns out of Kentucky, I might have a shot here.
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm leaning a little bit with the over. We kind of talked about this too. Georgia's eventually going to go off. They're going to cover.
They're going to beat someone up.
And it may be Kentucky, but hey, I was high on Kentucky last week. They got it done against Florida, and I do not think they get shut out. I do think hopefully, we'll see if they can run the ball. And they did that last week very well. I think there's a quarterback mismatch here. I think Carson Beck is a lot better for the Bulldogs. So lean a little bit to the over here and a little bit with the Bulldogs covering, but nothing too strong on this one.
15 was the high for the Bulldogs. The key is who can dictate the style. Alex hit on a key point. Kentucky wants to run the ball. They don't want to get into a shootout here against Georgia, and Georgia's defense is going to have to respond. So the way Kentucky, they have a terrific offensive line, and Georgia's really banked on their defense the last few years. So, we talked about it. Under Stoops, Kentucky's been a very relevant program, but they've started strong in the last few years. This one may be a bit of a surprise because of some of the skill position rebuilds and recruiting, but they've done well so far. But again, it's going to come down to Kentucky's offensive line against Georgia's defense in this one, as Alex pointed out.
I have nothing on this game. It really is hard to pass on Kentucky with the way Georgia has looked. But the concern is there's still the number one power. It's still 1A, 1B.
Well, they're up there, but they're not.
They're not
there's
dominant.
A disparity. Listen, the gap from the beginning of the season has been closed.
It shrunk
by Ohio State, by Texas, by Michigan, Penn State, even Alabama's resurrected themselves. So where Georgia was the absolute clear number one, and I'm talking about forget about polls. Again, I talk about power ratings. That has come. They've come back to the pack, and by virtue of their performance and the performance of the other teams that I mentioned.
But look at Michigan last week.
Yep.
It was kind of the
Finally.
same story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talking about them. They haven't shown us that,
Right.
and they did last week.
No, that was one of those where I, for whatever reason, talked myself into taking a small bet on Nebraska about 10 minutes before game time at 18.5. I was like, why did you do this to yourself? That was one of those about 3 minutes into the game, I knew I was done.
I'm very sorry if I helped
no, that was
push
just
you there.
that was my own doing, Alex. That was my own doing of stupidity on that one on the Huskers. It was 1 week too early on the Huskers, obviously.
That's right.
Let's go to another noon East game. Vinny, I just want to bring this one up. Neither Alex or I have a play on this game at Army hosting Boston College. But this is one of those, again, Power 5 on the road here against the Service Academy. Army was favored by 4, and the bettors have taken Boston College down from 4 to 2.5 in this game.
Yeah, and again, will there be some Army play here? I'm not so sure. There's more movement actually on the total. I mean, we just went to 47 here at South Point on the total, and we opened it at 50. So, again, it's not unusual to see under money in academy games with the way they play with their defense, and they try to with the ball possession aspect. So, but Boston College, they've been a difficult out for teams this year, and so no reason to not think that points were a premium here, especially 4, 3.5, and even 3.
Yeah, nothing for Alex and I on this game. You mentioned it. Boston College was a popular play by the Sharps against Florida State as well. They almost won the game outright as a humongous underdog at home. I don't know.
I think it would be under or pass.
Yeah,
right.
But you
like
missed
you
the
said,
number at this point on the
At
total.
this
You missed the
point,
number on both. If you like the dog, you missed the number. If you like,
And again, you don't have to play every game, right?
Exactly. You have to book every game.
We must book them.
Yeah.
So, and we do. So.
Notre Dame in the primetime slot again this week, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, and Louisville tonight. Undefeated Cardinals here in this game against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame 6.5-point favorites on the road, 53.5. Gut punch if you had Duke last week against Notre Dame. But this week, Alex, just looking at this one, Louisville's 5-0. I don't know how much I can read into that 5-0 based off of what and who they have played so far. And for Notre Dame, look, it hasn't gone perfectly this year, even though they were legitimately 1 yard away from being undefeated and probably having an inside track to the college football playoff.
I agree completely. That 5-0, they're average at best. I like Notre Dame. I like Sam Hartman. I haven't played it, but I would definitely lean Notre Dame minus 6.5.
It got as low as 5.5 early. I mean, so there was play on Louisville early, and then came back in on Notre Dame. So, overall two-way, not a lot of movement on the total, 54, 53, right around there. But again, Notre Dame games always draw. But you're waiting to see what's the real identity of Louisville here. I get it, Jeff, and understandably so. And Notre Dame, look at their schedule, terrific. They'll play. They've got one of the higher strength of schedules in college football.
Yeah, I want to see what we're getting out of Louisville, because even though again, it hasn't been perfect for the Irish, but they've been battle tested. That was a really good Duke team that they beat last week, especially with the health.
Coming off of the Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. That was a big reason why I took Duke last week was I didn't know how Notre Dame was going to handle it. And you know what? Until that big fourth down run, Notre Dame will look like they're going to lose that game outright to Duke. So, hey, it was a bad week for long runs on third or fourth down last week for teams that I either bet on or root for. So, regardless on that one.
Unless you had Patrick Mahomes on fourth down.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that tomorrow for sure. Vinny, I want to bring up two more ACC games. Alex is playing on one of them, but this one is a mover first. Miami hosting Georgia Tech. It was a disaster for the Jackets last week. They lose outright as a 21-point favorite against Bowling Green at home.
Who got played very
and Bowling Green was
heavily.
Played in a big way.
Yes.
But this one, the bettors are gravitating towards the Jackets in this one against the Canes in Miami. Canes down from 21 to 20 here with a total of 57.
Yeah, I just think it's a play on the number. You get 3 touchdowns, not a lot of movement overall on the game, and not a lot of movement on the total either. So now the game it's a 5:00 game here in on the West Coast. So as the day goes on, then this game will get more attention, probably more attention this afternoon. Given its time spot than we've seen all week long, Alex. Not a lot of play.
My favorite bets are taking the dogs that I think have a chance to actually win, and that's why you're getting a smaller number. But these ones scare me. Getting that 21 because it can get out of hand very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I will not at 21. I did think the Jackets were a reasonable play at 21.
Sure.
Even 20, I don't think it's bad, but I'm going to stay out of it. Again, you're betting numbers, not teams. But Georgia Tech is a bad football team right now.
Yeah, you've got a bigger menu.
You got better selections at Georgia
look
Tech
at,
this
right?
week.
But they're there. We'll find
someone will bet them.
Somebody
will bet them. Someone in the line earlier probably had them. Of course, all the windows open behind us here at the South Point Sportsbook.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I want to get one more ACC game, and then we'll take a quick break. Alex, you got to lean on this one. Going to Tallahassee here. Florida State, 24-point favorites against Va Tech. It's mostly 52.5 in the market on the total. Vinny and company behind here at the book. Buy the book. 53 on the total, but 52.5 the predominant number in the market right now.
Small play on the over, 52.5. What makes me nervous is I am on too many overs today. Tend to look for underdogs and unders, kind of like we talked about last night. Got, cash there. But the thing that scares me is Virginia Tech. I need them to get a few points. I mean, they're averaging 17 points a game. So if they can get a touchdown or two, like this Florida State team, I really do. I think they put up a lot. I actually made them quite a bit higher. They're 24-point favorite. I have them about a 28-point favorite. So
they took the 25 and got as low as 23 there, but back up to 24. To Alex's point, if you like the over, you're going to need. If Vatek can get their average of 17, then it figures to go over. So that, again, when you're betting overs, you need the dog to score.
You need some points from the
dog. Otherwise, you're in all likelihood not going.
We've not seen Florida State since they beat Clemson 2 weeks ago in overtime, coming off the bye for this. Maybe a sleepy start potentially for Florida State. I had nothing on this game. I thought everything checked out. And Vatek, I mean, it is incredible how quickly they have fallen into the abyss here. This is not a good football team that they have there in
injuries,
Blacksburg.
especially under center.
Doesn't help things. Doesn't help things. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the big 9 a.m. Pacific games all in a row. Mizzou, LSU, Red River, and the Terrapins getting bet in the market in Columbus. We'll tell you all about it when we get back. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur, From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Alex White on the far side of the desk. Vinny Magliulo on the middle of the desk today. In your normal chair.
That's it. My normal.
Your regular chair here for Chenzo. All right, let's dive back in here and let's go to these games at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. These are basically, Vinny, this is safe to say the 3 biggest bet games of the slate here to kick us off here at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Starting in Columbia, Missouri, it will be cold. It will be cold. Barely 50 degrees a kick for October 7th. A little bit chilly there in mid-Mo. The Tigers of Missouri welcoming the Tigers of LSU. 5.5-point favorites. The LSU Tigers are on the road. 63.5 the total. Vinny, LSU's defense non-existent against quality teams so far this year. Last week, an insult to the word non-existent against Ole Miss. This is an interesting one, and the bettors have taken this all over the place so far this week.
Yeah, well, overall, two-way act, right? So 6.5, they took everything down to 4.5 with your alma mater, Jeff, and now back up to 5.5. So 63.5 on the total. Now, this total got as high as 65. It came down. I think as we, right before kickoff, there probably going to be some over money coming in on this one based on what you said. I mean, Missouri's performed well. This is a big game for both of these teams in this sense. I think if you're LSU, you've got to start riding the ship. And I'm not saying competing for the national title this year, but you're also, Kelly's still building this program. And Missouri, you want to call it a statement game. Look, could very well be the case. So, but overall, two-way on the game.
Missouri wins. They're 6-0.
Yeah,
would be bowl eligible at the midway point. And again, we've kind of talked about this because
decent schedule going forward, right?
They have to go to Georgia. They're not going to win that game. They have to go to Kentucky, and Mizzou has had all sorts of problems with Kentucky over the years. So we'll see.
But the rest of it, yeah.
I mean, you get Florida, you get South Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee all at home. You go to Arkansas, winnable game. 10-2's in play. Maybe even 11-1 if you pull an upset in Lexington next.
Good enough.
I think they are a live dog today. I am on Mizzou plus 6.5. I'm also on the over 63.5. As you mentioned, LSU, no defense. We're going to see a lot of offense here. My favorite thing, though, is Missouri's not afraid of a shootout. We've seen that. They won their last 2 shootouts, Brady Cook and Luther Burden.
Yep.
Great combo. So I am going with the dog here and the over as well.
Let's go to Red River, Vinny. It's like people know the result of the Red River rivalry today because Oklahoma just keeps getting bet. in the market here, down to 4.5.
Just went.
There are even some 4s in the market now on this game.
Yep.
All the way from 6.5 at the peak on Texas. Ryan Watts, one of Texas's defensive backs, is out. Again, Oklahoma passing attack has looked good this year. Dylan Gabriel has thrown for 15 touchdowns, almost 1,600 yards in 5 games. I will say this, Vinny. I have all sorts of bad numbers on Texas now, and I'll probably have to go back for the 4 now as well.
You must.
But this is, I'm a little surprised, and Alex and I are opposite on this game, and we'll get Alex's thoughts in a second. But I'm a little surprised the bettors have been this aggressive on the Sooners in this game with how Texas has looked this year.
No question, but let's remember this. The Sooners got embarrassed last year.
It was
49 to nothing
awful
in this game, right? Venable's first year. His forte is defense. He figures to get some things right. Now, look, Texas is great. They've got a good defense, particularly their secondary. So, but at some point, I thought there would be buyback overnight on Texas. We've not seen it yet, Alex, but so far it's all about the Sooners.
I am going with the revenge factor as well. Venable's first rivalry game. He's coaching OU there. And also, people forget Dylan Gabriel was not in that game last year when they got shut out.
Yeah.
He is back. He has looked very good this year, completing 75% of his passes. I am going with the Sooners here, plus 6.5.
My biggest holdup with Oklahoma this year is you just look at the way their offense has looked at times this year. They were great last week against Iowa State. There's no arguing that. They were great against the really bad teams on their schedule. A little over 5 yards, 5.5 yards, about 5.5 yards a play against SMU, under 6 yards a play against Cincinnati. This is a different animal, even with the injuries in the secondary for
question.
Texas.
No question.
This Texas team, the winner of this game is inside track to make the college football playoff. Because the winner of this game will likely be 12-0 in Arlington, which will mean probably a rematch against whoever loses this game today.
Mm-hmm.
You beat them twice. You're going to the college football playoff at 13-0. It's 12-1 versus 12-1. The committee's got a heck of a decision potentially on their hands, depending on how close both of these games are. I'm sticking to my guns. I think Texas looked the best of anyone in the country so far through the first month plus. Now that it's down to 4, I guess I'll have every number in this game basically, Vinny, except for 6.5 and 6.
All I know is there's
one way in the book.
Two-way action at the desk.
Yeah,
love it.
Oh, we'll see what happens. Inevitably, this thing will go to 3.5, so I'll have another bad number in my portfolio on this game. All right, Ohio State and Maryland, Vinny. I got to tell you, this is another one I'm a little bit surprised on here. Maryland is 5-0. Got to give the Terps credit, undefeated so far this year. Buckeyes, as we know, undefeated. We haven't seen them since the Notre Dame game. Vinny, this is as high as 20, down to 17.
Yeah,
in this game.
Listen, Maryland was up at halftime in this game a year ago.
They were. That was also in College Park.
And so I understand that. There's another Tagovailoa here that's doing pretty well under center. Now I think Ohio State has progressively gotten better. I made the reference in the first segment about how they've closed the gap power rating wise. Again, I think also extra time to prepare for this game. But you mentioned it. It's from 19 to 20, and it's been all Terps since, down to 17, 56.5. We just went to on the total, which is down from 58 on the opener, Alex.
If I was looking at this game, I'd probably have to look at Maryland first half. I do think they hang in there for a while, but second half, I think it gets ugly.
Yeah,
there you go. First half.
I'll say this with this game. I think the total's too low. I'm surprised that this has been bet to the under as well. I thought that 58 that you opened at was good. I thought that if anything, you just pass on a 58. That 55 that was available earlier today, and it was not available for long, I thought that was a really good number there. And now you're starting to see it bop back up to 56.5, so you're starting to get it back. Again, can't have a tie in college football. So 28-28, get yourself a winner there, Vinny. But, I have
a tie with the number.
Well, you're not landing.
We did see a few of those in the last couple of weeks.
I will say this with Maryland, and again, this is obviously a monster step up in class from what they have beaten so far.
And they don't mind it.
But
that's okay.
You and I, Vinny, you, me, and Chris were talking about this yesterday. There's a real chance this Maryland team ends up 9-3, ends up being a good football team.
Yeah.
But they go 0-3 against the big three: Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. I'm still surprised that the bettors have taken this to 17. I really am. I really am surprised on that one. All right, let's go to the Big 12. TCU and Iowa State. We have an Alex lean on this game. Actually, actual play, I should say, not a lean on this game with Iowa State and TCU. Both of these teams have not looked particularly great. TCU, a pretty ugly loss last week at home against West Virginia. Iowa State, good for a half, and then the wheels came completely off in Norman a week ago in a 50-20 loss. Right now, Alex, 52 here at the South Point. Rest of the market, 52.5 on the total. TCU 6.5-point favorites in Ames.
I got that 52.5. I'm going under. This is actually my favorite under of the contrast of styles in this matchup. Definitely, as you mentioned, haven't seen a whole lot from either of these offenses. I mean, Iowa State, very young football team, and they're just averaging 18 points a game against FBS schools. So, yep, under 52.5. My one and only under of the day.
And not a lot of movement either on the side or the total. 6.5, pretty steady. And so total's been the same.
Yeah, I really don't like either of these teams. Obviously, they mastered the obvious statement here. TCU, shell of what it was a year ago. But they also had amazing luck in one-score games a year ago. They're 0-2 in one-score games this year.
We just got a little over.
They're the Vikings of college football.
Yeah.
They both wear purple as well. On top of the one-score regression machine. Even though Minnesota did win a one-score game last week against the Panthers, so they're not going totally bizarro world. By the way, we'll tomorrow on the show. Of course, all three of us will be back at 9 a.m. Pacific. Still perplexed on that move in that Chief Viking game where everyone seems to love Minnesota in that game, but we'll get fully into that on tomorrow's show. All right, Rutgers. Hello, New Jersey on the road at Wisconsin today. Vinny, the bettors like the Scarlet Knights in this game. 13.5, did go to 14 pretty quickly, but back down to 12.5 now, and the total just pivoted back to 44.5, which was the opener.
Yeah, we were at 13 yesterday, right? So they laid it back. Overall two-way action. Again, same with the total, 44, 45, sitting at 44.5. So not as much interest either. Again, not every game gets some games that'll surprise you with handle are games that are a little bit more obscure and maybe not outside the Power 5 conference, right? I mean, so we talked about it earlier, right? You got, Boston College is in a Power 5 conference, but not Army, and that game's actually had more overall action than this one. So, but 13.5 and 44.5 presently on this one with Wisconsin favored.
I understand the Rutgers support, but like Maryland, if I were to bet this game, I would look at Rutgers in the first half. They have scored first in each of their 5 games this season, and we've seen Wisconsin have some struggles, especially with their quarterback. So I can understand why people are backing Rutgers here.
I think it's a reasonable spot for the Scarlet Knights as well. And Wisconsin's been all over the place so far this year. That great game where Georgia Southern's quarterback totally blew up against them as well, a game that they could have even lost to Brendan, turned over 7 times. They lose at Wazoo in a game where Wazoo is clearly the better team. Granted, Rutgers is not Wazoo, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So pass at the number it was 14. Yeah, you could have got me at Rutgers at 14, not at 12.5. We'll pass on that one. All right, Purdue and Iowa. This is an ugly one. Total's 38.5 on this one. No shock there. 2.5-point favorites here. Alex, backup quarterback in for Iowa. I can't do anything with this game. I just don't like Purdue enough to take them. And Vinny, and you've mentioned this, short of 3. You're really liking them to win the game. I just don't like Purdue enough to win this game outright. So a pass here with Purdue and Iowa.
Completely agree. No play for me. I don't know much about Deacon Hill, who is playing quarterback.
He looks like a tight
Iowa.
end who can throw a little bit.
Yes.
Taysom Hill.
See that.
They opened 3, and we were at 2. I just went to 2.5 a little while ago, right after we came on the air. So that's the buyback on Iowa.
Yeah, no thanks on that one. All right, let's go to Laramie. Alex, I know you like this one, and I think I'm going to be with you on this game as well. Fresno State, who to me, best team in the Mountain West, on the road in Wyoming. You know, we know this is a difficult spot to play. The Cowboys already got Texas Tech earlier this year up there at over 7,000 feet. Right now at 6, which was the opener, got the 5.5, went back to 6 yesterday. Total's been hit a little more than the side, though. 45.5 down to 43. But you're looking at the side here for this one.
That's right. I am looking at Wyoming. I took Wyoming plus the 6. I may even jump in a little bit on the money line. I think this is a live dog. Fresno State hasn't really impressed me all that much. They haven't played very many great teams. I mean, they have wins over Eastern Washington, Arizona State, Kent State, and then Nevada. So, I mean, I think Wyoming has a better resume. And like you said, come in here. They beat Texas Tech in game 1 of the season. So I am backing the Cowboys.
Tough place to get to as well. And once you get there, it's a great environment up there. So yeah, I get not a lot of movement here. Just laying 5.5 and taking 6 with the dog.
I'd only look at the dog here. This is a difficult spot to play. And you know what? If Fresno goes up there, wins and covers, that's going to tell me a lot more about Fresno more than anything.
I was going to say that exact thing.
Boy, this would be a great year for the 12-team playoff because between Fresno and Air Force in the Mountain West right now, it'd be if one of those teams were to win the Mountain West and would have gotten a playoff spot in a 12-team playoff, they would very much scare that 5 seed, whoever that could possibly be.
I'm not saying that the Mountain West is going to become the next Power 5 conference, but it should.
Oregon State and Wazoo goes
with the off-season adjustments and movement. Who knows, right?
We'll see. I would imagine that Oregon State and Wazoo end up playing in that conference next year.
It'd be good for the conference.
It would be good for everyone. It would also make everyone that's currently in the Mountain West to step up.
Right. Sure.
Because Wazoo, I mean, this is the best Wazoo has looked in a long time this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon State, Jonathan Smith has done
two good quarterbacks.
An amazing job.
Right.
Yes, Cam Ward. We'll get to Washington State in a few moments because they play at UCLA later today. Cam Ward's the most underrated quarterback in the country. He has been great this whole year. He was great last year. That'll be a good test for Wazoo, which we'll get to in a little bit. All right. I want to bring this one up, Vinny, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday because this is one of the biggest movers of the week.
Yeah.
The Rams of Colorado State, of all teams, from 1-3 on the road in Logan against Utah State.
One of those games I was talking about earlier. We talked about the Rutgers-Wisconsin game with not as much action. This one, Chris Andrews was talking about it yesterday, and some really good play on Colorado State. I mean, they laid everything from 1 up to 3 where we're sitting now, and the total got bet up as high as 65 off the 63 opener, now down to 62. So, you know what? A lot of action here, but it's about the number, and this is what this is why when you've got the betting board the way it is, Al, you got a lot of selections, you find a spot.
I do understand the movement of the total. These two are playing very fast. They're actually like 7th and 10th quickest of all college football teams, but no play for me here.
Yeah, I have nothing. I'm a little stunned the bettors have done what they've done with this game.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not strong.
There's something for everybody on the board.
Yeah, I'm not strong enough on Utah State to justify coming in even at a good number of 3, but a little surprised that Colorado State is taking the amount of money that they have this week. All right, let's go to L.A. USC hosting Arizona at the Coliseum. Vinny, the total's been hit down, actually, which is a little bit surprising. And it was a significant move this morning. 72 all the way down to 69.5 on the total. Arizona went from 21.5 point dogs to 21 yesterday. That has not moved, though. This
No, not a lot of movement. But, again, this game will have a lot more. The SC games in the evening here always have a lot of money. The majority of this money, 85% of this money, of the betting action on this game is going to come in this evening. Again, whether you want to call it, the get out game or the gravy, whatever you want to say, but it's there, right? And it's TV and it's SC. So, but even though there's not been a lot of movement now, I think what'll happen is there'll be some interest on the over by the general public in this one.
I think that the movement down is people assuming we are going to see a defense from USC finally, but I could definitely imagine people coming back on that over because of that reason. I think Arizona is a little undervalued, and I mean more by their competition as well as us bettors. But, I mean, they're 4-1 ATS. They've come out really strong, but not enough for me to back them here.
Arizona played Washington pretty tough last week in the late night in Tucson. You know what?
I just don't know if that's because the opposing team is kind of undervaluing them, right? I'm thinking it's going to be an easy win. And
I'm taking the over in this game. Now that we're sub 70, look, USC games, until proven otherwise,
that's right,
they're scoring in the 40s, and the opponent's getting in the 30s. Last time my math, Vinny, worked out, when you have 40 plus 30, that's 70. That's more than 69.5.
Well,
right?
I'm so your parents are watching right now, and they're bringing a smile to their face.
That I can
paying
do
that
elementary
tuition,
math.
buddy. Excellent. There you go.
So I also don't mind Arizona in this game. I really don't. I just don't think against and Arizona. You mentioned it. They've covered all but one of their games so far this week. They played Washington tough. It's hard to ask a team like this to have two good efforts in a row, but USC's defense is just so bad that the back door is always wide open in the USC games.
Yeah.
So this would be a lean to Arizona. I do like this over. What kind of stunned this got bopped down to 69.5.
3 touchdowns.
Even though there is there are some questions at the quarterback position this week for Arizona. All right. This is, to me, in the Pac-12, this is my favorite game of the day. Wazoo on the road at UCLA. Vinny, this is now back at 3. This is bounced all over the universe in this game.
Just
as well.
went back to 3.5.
Oh, you went back to 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so bouncing back again to 3.5 from 3. 4, 3.5, 3, 3.5, 3, 3.5. There
Open
you go.
4.5, right? Yeah.
For an eyelash there, or
Yes.
excuse me, for a
Very
a
quick
blink.
on Monday morning.
Yeah, a blink.
The total bet, this total, I believe, is going to come back up. I mean, we opened it at 60.5. It's down to 58. I think that's a byproduct of Arizona State's, more that they're not going to score as much. Look, even though they're betting the dog here, we're not going to be at a loss for Colorado. Obviously, we found the threshold for Colorado, right, at 3. So they get bet every week, and I could tell you this, they're in a lot of money line parlays, and that's not a surprise, right? I mean, they from the beginning of the season, from the first game, Colorado backers have been there.
I could see that. I would lean to backing Colorado this week, but I kind of like that money line play.
Yeah, you're going to get a much lower money line too. You're going to lay a lower price now. Probably less than $1, maybe $1.50 on the high, but you might get a low of $1.50. I don't think your money line. Sometimes you lay the money line, right? It's not always about taking the money line. So
Lean to Colorado on that game. On Wazoo and UCLA, 3 on that one, 59.5 the total. I have Wazoo earlier in the week. UCLA's quarterback play, I just don't think is as good as you would expect out of a Chip Kelly team right now. That's really the biggest concern that I have in this game for UCLA. And as I mentioned before, I love Cam Ward. I just think he is a guy that if Cam Ward played at a higher end Power 5, he would be getting the attention that Penix is getting at Washington, getting the attention that Drake May's getting at UNC. Again, probably not as good as those guys, but he is a really good college quarterback. And this is an advantage of quarterback for Wazoo. I think they'll win the game outright. So little sprinkle on the money line as well, including the 3.5 from earlier in the week.
Yep.
I've got to find that on the Pac-12 network.
Yeah, I know. That, of course. The one game I really want to watch today is on the Pac-12 network.
We'll have it on. Stick around.
There we
go.
We'll
on one of those side TVs.
That's right.
Right
where those 3 people are speaking right now, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's Vinny, I do want to mention this one quickly because people have been betting in like they know Cal's going to cover in this game against Oregon State.
Apparently.
Yeah, down from 9.5 to 8, 51 to total. I understand it's not the greatest of spots for Oregon State, but I'm a little surprised it's been this aggressive on the Golden Bears.
Everything from 9.5 down to 8 on Cal, right? And not a lot of movement on the total, just maybe a half point, but look, I think it's just a play on the number here. It's not anti-Oregon State, and again, are there look-ahead spots? Certainly. Maybe this is one of them in the eyes of the bettors. I'm not sure, Alex.
I'm not sure either. Surprised as well over here.
Yeah.
No play for me.
Yeah, this is nothing for me, especially not at this number. No, thank you whatsoever. All right, let's go to Waco. Ugly game in the Big 12. Game that both of these teams got to have. Texas Tech is a 1.5-point favorite on the road at Baylor. Another game where Alex and I are opposite today. Texas Tech, great second half last week against Houston. Dominated that second half, winning comfortably against the Cougars. Baylor, the miracle of all miracles.
Great second half as well.
Yeah, the miracle of all miracles. Down 28 in Orlando. Come back, win 36-35 over Central Florida. Alex, backup quarterback situation, Morden for Texas Tech. You talked about last week how you liked Morden, and that game went over in the first half with Houston and Texas Tech. You're on the Red Raiders, though, today against Baylor on the road in Waco.
I am. I think this is my first favorite of the day, so I laid the 1.5 with Texas Tech. I like their up-tempo style, as you mentioned, but they're also very well-balanced offense, rushing 177 rushing yards per game while holding their opponents to under 5 yards per play. So going with Texas Tech, would you like to say your side for Baylor?
Better quarterback. I know Shapen didn't look particularly great last week when you're coming off of a knee injury and working your way back. It makes sense why you're being a little rusty in your first game back. I really don't like either of these teams, especially now with Texas Tech, who I thought was a dark horse to make it to Arlington in the Big 12 title game. Not happening for them this year. Defense is not quite as good as I thought it would be. And when you lose your starting quarterback, you're in trouble. That's just the way it is. Yeah. Shell breaking his fibula 2 weeks ago in Morgantown. You're probably a 6-6 team, maybe 7-5 if all goes right now for the Red Raiders. But I expect Shapen to look better. Baylor's defense has been a disappointment, but I'll take my chances with them against a Texas Tech offense I don't trust.
5 o'clock start. There'll be over money in this game.
I would imagine there will be.
Up.
Let's go to Oxford next. Arkansas, Ole Miss. Big win for Ole Miss a week ago against LSU. Arkansas all over the map so far this year in the SEC and in general. Vinny, 11.5 to 12 on this one with the Rebs laying at 63.5. That total's actually been bet down from 63.5 to 61.5.
I think you'll see over money on this one as well as we get into the afternoon and into the evening. So, again, not just about a half-point move to the favorite. Money in on the under, but I think we'll see over money here, Alex.
Jeff said it perfectly. I don't know what I'm getting with this Arkansas team.
Not at all.
I've liked Ole Miss. I think I would lean there, but I'm not laying that either.
Big number.
Yeah. Let's go to College Station. Alabama A&M. Vinny, this has been a trip and a half, this game, from what the bettors have done here. Open 2.5 with Alabama to 2 to 1.5 to 1 to pick. Back to 1, back to 1.5, back to 2. We're back to where we started with Alabama laying 2.5.
We go back up the ladder the way we come down the ladder. Yesterday we started to get the Alabama money. In fact, Jimmy Vaccaro was brought in a $10 ticket on Alabama at pick. Look, there's some undefeated games today. There's another one in Texas, but this isn't one of them. But these two teams can ill afford another loss. They always have entertaining games here. So two-way action overall. This will be probably the highest handle game of the midday. I don't think that's going to surprise anybody. 12:30 Pacific. But up and down the ladder we go. Total bet down a little bit, Alex. I don't know if you have a feel for either one of these plays.
Two really good defenses. I can understand that move there. I am on Texas A&M plus 2.5. Milroe for Alabama, I don't know if he was a little injured last week. Something looked a little weird. I don't see him breaking free and getting touchdowns like he did against Mississippi State. So I think Texas A&M can shut down their run game. I like this spot here for them.
Well, it looked like he had a hamstring injury, and I think that's why the early money came in early. But apparently that's he's fine, and again came back up. So overall, two-way action, which is always pleasing from our side of the counter.
This is a principal one for me. Jimbo Fisher, go beat me. Go beat me. That's all it is for me. If A&M wins this game, so be it. I I didn't get the best of it. This has been a bad week of not getting the best of it for me. But
it's been tough. We haven't seen the best number out there.
Yeah,
for very
I
long,
laid
in
two.
your defense.
I laid two. So I'm not getting the worst of it, but I'm far from getting the best of it with Alabama. But they're the better football team to me. And I know this is a tricky place to play. It's a difficult spot. The 12th man always is in it in College Station. But I like Alabama. I think they get it done. And we're going to be talking about how the SEC title game, even though Bama lost in week 2, Bama, Georgia, the winner of that, the Alabama wins. They're going to get in the playoff at 12-1, despite the fact that we wrote them off in week 3. So that's where we're heading. This is where this is all progressing at this point with Alabama.
Yeah, no, listen.
You make a very good point.
They've turned it around. There's no question.
All right, one more college game, and then we'll quickly get baseball before we get out of here today. Michigan, 19.5 now, Vinny, at Minnesota, the primetime game there in Minneapolis.
Yeah, again, didn't open at 3 touchdowns, opened it just shy of that at 20.5. They got as low as 18, and now back. We were at 19, and we're 19.5. So 46, not a lot of movement on the total here.
No play for me here.
I have no interest in this game either. I don't like Minnesota. The one thing Minnesota does do is grind you out, but that's what Nebraska attempted to do last week, and that did not go well for the Huskers against Michigan. Michigan right now, even though I think Texas has looked better through the first month, Michigan's the most complete team in the country to me.
I agree.
So they should be this big of a
got everybody's attention last week.
They sure did. They finally looked the part last week in Lincoln. All right, before we go, of course, if you go to your South Point app right now, you can still bet the first touchdown of the 9 a.m. slate for college football. You can also bet the highest scoring team of the day. USC, the favorite in the highest scoring team of the day right now, 5-1. And that one, you have a few minutes for that. So your South Point app, make sure you bet there. But, Vinny, there is also playoff baseball today. Yeah. There's a quick roundup of the 4 prices for the games today, starting in Baltimore today. You got if we go in with the Orioles, this is the early game. Money coming in on the Rangers. It's down to just a little north of $1.30. Orioles open as $1.40 favorites. Total on the game sitting at 8 right now. A little move, a little bit over money. No real surprise there. Second game today is going to be in Houston with the Astros, and that game's up to, down, I should say, $1.42. By the way, Houston with a losing record at home this year. Yes, they do.
Let's remember that. Surprising to a lot of folks there. The third game of the day will be in Atlanta between the Braves and the Phillies, and the Braves holding as $2 favorites, 8.5 for that total. And then the Dodgers tonight. $1.90 got bet up to as high as $2, and now down to $1.85. So, in 3 of these games, dogs have been getting the betting attention. Alex, I know you follow baseball. You're a big baseball family. I don't know if you have any baseball plays today.
No baseball plays today. I have a small play on Baltimore Orioles in that series. I understand the dog support though in game 1 because a lot of times, those prices of those favorites are so big, and you aren't expecting them to win the whole series, but maybe they can get in there and win that game 1.
I like Arizona tonight.
Yeah, but they've been playing too, right? So they're in a rhythm.
Yes,
I like the Diamondbacks. I don't know what I'm getting out of Kershaw, which is strange to say, but I don't know what I'm getting from him.
It's not really when you think about it.
And his postseason history, again, I don't like going to that, but we know what Kershaw's postseason history is. Merrill Kelly's really good. And if you're Arizona's playing house money. They're not supposed to be here. They were the 6th seed. They sweep through Milwaukee. I like Arizona today. That's the only thing in this for these game 1s that I like. Alex did take the Orioles on a series price. I agree with Alex on that. I think Baltimore, not at the price, got better prices earlier in the week on the O's and the series price. But I do like Baltimore.
15 up to got as high as 30. I know Alex laid the best price.
Yeah, the 15 was good. 15 was definitely good on Baltimore. All right. That's all the time we have. Make sure you get your bets in on the South Point mobile app before we get rolling.
Right now.
You got Texas and Oklahoma, Missouri, LSU, Maryland, and Ohio State, the marquee games early, and then a whole slate of college football today. We're all back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and NFL Sunday. We have another London game to get in-game on tomorrow as well with Jacksonville and Buffalo. For Alex White, for Vinny Magliulo, I'm Jeff Parles. This has been Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. We will see you again tomorrow in 24 hours.